Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast in which we assemble to explore the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe 1 minute at a time. In this, our 6th season, we're looking at the Avengers. I'm Andy Nelson from the Next Reel Film Podcast.
And I'm Pete Wright. Finally, we can stop this thing and get a bite to eat.
It's been a long time. Today, we're talking about minute 143, the final minute of the movie. The final, really, 53 seconds of the movie, which begins with the final climactic beats of Alan Silvestri's amazing theme and ends with the studio logos with a little stop at Shawarma Palace in between. Back on the show, closing this season out, Mike Gravagno from the Superhero Show. Mike, hello.
Greetings, you merry minuteers. And I have to say, it means so much that you're like, well, every season we close out with our favorite guest. And I love you guys, but a true surprise and a true honor to win. And I'm so glad I can rub everybody else who's guested this season's face in it.
Outstanding. And we'll be sure to pass on your condolences to the other nominees.
Mm-hmm. That's right. This, you've kind of alluded in an earlier minute as to why you picked this minute. But do you want to remind us all one last time about your fantastic plans for the painting in your house one day?
Oh, yes. I want a Last Supper style Renaissance painting of the Avengers eating shawarma in Shawarma Palace as 2 employees clean up behind them. It's been burned into my brain since 2012, and yeah, I want it.
You're ready.
Would you do it? Wait a minute. I need to further litigate this.
Sure.
You want a painting, like somebody to paint it on canvas and hang it, or do you want to adorn like a full wall of your home?
Oh, that's a good question.
With an immovable artifact of history, of
like
cinema
Sistine
history.
Chapel style, just
You
right
got
there.
it. Yeah, maybe it's on your ceiling.
I rent, so I don't know what the landlord would think of that.
I hear landlords love that. I hear that's
right.
Really
Do you mind if I take this wall with me as I go?
Just get an X-Acto knife and try to first layer of drywall.
Yeah. Noted.
So
all right.
I think for now it'll be smaller canvas, and then when I finally buy, we'll take over a whole wall.
Yeah. Just Vermeer the heck out of it.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome. Oh, can't wait for that.
Love it.
It'll be gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to the fantastic Shawarma Palace scene, we do have our last minutes of credits. I don't really have a lot of notes with this other than this is that era. Everyone was switching cameras and they shot this with the Alexa. So definitely digital film. Also, as we know, anyone who's stayed through credits knows that we always get that little MPAA film number at the end. The film number for this is 47486. And for those curious, film 47485 was the movie Knockdown, which directed by Tom Balanca, starring Casey T. Evans, Tom Arnold, and Nick Faltis. This film, I'm curious if either of you have ever heard of.
Classic Tom Arnold.
Originally titled The Bad Penny. A former American boxer now exiled in Bangkok is forced to confront his violent past after meeting a mysterious fight fan from his hometown.
Was the mysterious fight fan Tom Arnold? Because that seems casting to part.
Yeah, he's not going to be the boxer.
Yeah, right.
And now these numeric orders, is it in like release date or how do they?
It's when you kind of send your film into the MPAA to kind of go through the review process,
like
and all
the
of that.
logging day.
Yeah,
the logging
and so
order.
exactly, and so it's oftentimes their release is completely different. Like this film was actually released in 2011. It had a limited release in the U.S. June 8th, 2012, after having played in a film festival in 2011. And so I'm not exactly sure at what point they submitted, but with the Avengers, I imagine that they had probably put that in, probably 2011, just because they knew it was coming.
Right.
On the opposite side, 47487 is a film called A Happy Event, which is actually a French film that was released also in 2011. And I'm assuming that it was just when they had sent it to the MPAA to get its number for a potential U.S. release, which it never got. So,
sad.
I know. It
would be
event.
a fun and bonkers movie night to plan just around the MP rating or MP numeric order. Be like,
oh my
and watch
God.
your guests try to guess what the connection is. Let them know there is one.
Oh my God. That is like the deepest of deep cuts.
That is, we absolutely, and mark it here because this will obviously be a public episode, but my hunch is listeners of the next reel will forget this by the time we come back to them in 3 years, and our entire series is just ordered release by MPAA, 60 films in a row.
What's the theme?
That is,
I can't wait.
I would love that, except when you go through it, you forget exactly how many films actually get released in any given year. And as proof in the pudding, with the 2 films on either side of the Avengers, neither of those are films that I've ever seen, probably will never want to see. Probably can't even track down.
I wonder if there's if anybody would do it, actually, Andy, I think it'd be you. I wonder if there is a letterboxed watch list in MPAA number order starting from 1.
Oh my god!
Is what? That's just the train coming, right?
Yeah, train approaches
that's the first one.
So funny. Actually, you know what? I don't think. I know we were just joking about that, but I don't believe that they actually had those numbers in existence at that point yet. I think if you looked at the beginning of the MPAA, the beginning of the MPAA period, I don't think that they had even started thinking about that until I'm looking right now. 1934, number 1.
Oh, wow.
The World Moves On, followed by number 2, Handy Andy. Oh, I should watch that one.
That is
watch
actually
out for Andy.
That would be very telling if like the MPAA existed before the first movie. Like, we just want to be ready. We know pictures are going somewhere, and we want to be able to litigate their crassness immediately.
What's interesting, actually, this is weird. They must have started it in 1934, and then they went backward for a while, saying, you know what, there were these other movies that came out before 1934. We should catalog these. Because, in fact, 1931, number 202, there is a movie called The Avenger.
You guys should probably do minute by minute on that, right?
Bonus episodes.
I think so.
Luckily, it's probably, 7 minutes long? That's my hope.
Oh, wow. All right. I don't know if I have anything else about any of these credits. Do either of you have any notes on credits or anything?
Well, the only thing I thought was, like, Dolby Surround 7.1. Only 7.1? Really? Like, we weren't even dabbling in Atmos before it was released in cinemas.
When Atmos came out, what? Probably 2014 or so?
Yeah, I think so. Somewhere like that. I don't know. Off the top of my head, but I just know that
2012.
Those are better. Oh, see, there you go. I was right to be.
Yeah, the premiere of Brave in 2012 was the first Dolby Atmos installation in the El Capitan. When that film was released. So
love the El Capitan.
So cool.
Yeah. So you were right to question
only,
that when you saw this. Yeah.
Only 7 channels.
Yeah.
Because you seemed like technically nerdy in a way that I am not. And earlier you said this was filmed digitally, but then I noticed one of the logos, one of the credits says printed on Fujifilm. What? Why, if you're filming digitally, what are you printing?
Well, because so many theaters, by this point, they were still projecting a lot of them on film. Like, they hadn't actually fully made the theatrical switch to the drives.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they had to
drop
take
it back to film for projection.
Yeah.
Got it. I knew you'd have an answer.
Glad to help. And of course, you get the Stereo D logo here because, again, this was in that era of converting everything to 3D.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember if I saw this in 3D.
I don't remember either. I know I saw a lot of the Marvel films in 3D, but I can't remember specifically if this was one or not.
I remember that I did not, and that both of you did.
Okay. Well, I'm glad one of us remembers.
Again, you just have to commit to the bit. That's what we've learned today. All right. And then finally, something else happens.
Shawarma Palace. The scope, before we talk about Shawarma Palace, where were you as far as like your kind of expectations by the time we finished Captain America, the first Avenger, with what we were going to get out of the post-credit sequences? Had you kind of built an expectation, or in your mind, were you like, oh, they're going to totally set something up? Like, where did you come into this kind of expecting something that actually went somewhere, perhaps.
Propulsive? I think so, because we get I'm going to forget a bunch, I'm sure, but we get Nick Fury and Iron Man, mind blown. Cap wakes up, and we get a whole sequence, right? In
That's
First
actually
Avenger.
at the end of the film.
Is it? I always remember that as the post credit.
It's the boxing arena.
Yes.
That is actually a cut of the film, and then it cuts.
That's right.
Then we get the trailer.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember like Iron Man 2 or Thor's, because I, to be honest, haven't gone back to those movies that much.
Thor is the really confusing one with Eric Selvig, where he's in the basement with Nick Fury and they're looking at the Tesseract, and then you're like, oh wait, is Loki possessing him? Like, what's going on there? That's that weird one.
That's right.
Yeah, Iron Man 2 is Coulson finding the hammer in the desert, setting up Thor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's at this point, I don't think we haven't gotten the bits yet. And it is funny to me that now, 80 years later, people are still like, oh, it was just a funny one. It's like, yeah, that we used to be cool with that. Because I remember howling in the theaters. But yeah, expecting something like, oh, what is even coming after this? That just nothing. They're just eating exhaustedly delicious shawarma.
Well, I love it that it's a callback. I love it that it is, at the time, I remember thinking how gloriously on brand it was for Tig Notaro's sense of humor, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just felt of a piece with all the other stuff that I was then celebrating about sort of the way he approached, his comedy. That just very dry. It's very dry. It is the joke that has to come around twice to be super funny when you realize there is no other punchline to this setup.
Right.
There's no punchline, and that's the funny part. And if you can get that absurdist humor in it, like if you can truck with what Tig is doing, I think it's kind of legendary. It's legendary in the same way that when we don't get a post-credit sequence out of Endgame, like it's that same kind of sort of emotional dance, right? Like, what could you possibly do after trauma? You could either lighten it up or you could just let it ride. And this one, they lighten it up. I think it works.
And I don't know if it's apocryphal, but I remember hearing that Robert Downey Jr. riffed do you guys know there's a great shawarma place around here? And so they went back and did it. They're like, oh, remember that thing Stark said, let's go and make that a scene.
Let's go have shawarma. Yeah.
And it feels very New York to me. When I lived there, that was like my favorite foods were like the halal guys. They have a cart. They have a couple restaurants now, but like everybody's like, oh, the pizza. Sure. But you're going to get good pizza a lot of places. But I found very few non-New York amazing level shawarma spots.
Well, you're probably right as far as the decision to do this, because they actually filmed this after the film had its premiere.
What?
Yeah, the movie premiered, and they actually came back. The premiere date. I'm trying to figure out when the premiere date was. I don't know if I have the premiere date, but this was actually shot April 12th, 2012, a day after its world premiere. And to the point where Chris Evans is actually already fully facial haired, and he's getting ready for Snowpiercer, and he had to wear a prosthetic jaw covering his face up. And this is why he's kind of sitting there with his just hand on his chin, just kind of like not moving at all, because in actuality, he is like holding this thing on his face so that he doesn't, so you can't see any of the beard, which
so funny.
Is hilarious. Yeah, and it was all shot in LA at a place at the time. It was called Elat Burger. It is now called Shalom Grill, where you can get burgers, kebab, and shawarma.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
Of course.
9340 West Pico Boulevard, in case you want to swing by. Thanks to always our friends over at the MCU Location Scout for all of that fantastic information.
That's handy. Are you shawarma fans? Would you, if you're very exhausted post-fight, would you go get shawarma with your buddies?
I would absolutely go stop at an Indian restaurant. I don't know if I would get shawarma. I might get tikka masala or something else, but I do like shawarma. It probably wouldn't have been my first choice.
I don't know that I'm a shawarma guy either. Mostly because I love Indian food, but we have a place near us that's called Curry and Crust, and it's Indian food on pizza. So it's like you eat tikka masala on pizza, and it's
That does sound
dope.
very good.
It's amazing, and so yeah, I would always choose to have my Indian food on a pizza form.
Everything's better on a pizza.
I think so.
That's hard to argue.
I like, even though there's no talking, right? There's no talking in this because they'd probably have to pay them more. But everybody's exhaustion, they're still like acting in their characters so well. I love Nat is kind of just staring at Clint, and it feels like to be like, are you okay after all that brainwash stuff? Thor is just chowing down.
Right.
Clint
Hulk,
is chewing very slowly.
So slowly.
Yeah.
Tony is being weird and meticulous and like wiping his hands after each bite, which fits in with. Remember in the early movies when he's like, I have OCD and people shouldn't hand me things directly, and then that goes away.
Yeah. Even at the start of this film, he won't take the information from Coulson, but Pepper happily will. Yes. I love taking things.
My favorite is Hulk, because he is super into it, and to the point, and it's probably Ruffalo starting to crack, but he just like, and it just feels like Hulk being like, remember when I smashed the shit out of that like giant worm thing? Like, and I don't know, it just captured that like we had a crazy like drunken night and nobody has energy anymore, hungover the next day vibes. And yeah, it's beautiful.
It's so funny. Tony has that weird, he makes some weird, like, it's like a millisecond flash smile that he does or something, like right around 30 seconds into this minute. It is just the weirdest little thing. Like, yeah, it's fun to just sit and watch all of these people, because to your point, yeah, they all feel in some way kind of in character, and it's very enjoyable. And of course we have the two employees in the back. The woman's just sweeping the whole time, picking things up, putting them into the dustpan. And the guy is just, I don't know if he's working on the grill or prepping something, but he's doing something in the kitchen still, which I guess, it's not all cleaning. They're also cooking for hungry superheroes.
Right. He's preparing the grill in case another wave of superheroes comes in that they didn't know about.
Daredevil, it's the sub stories that we get. Like, we'll have Daredevil and the Punisher and all of them come in, for their bit that they would have done had they actually been allowed to.
And the Marvel Knights, all their food is spicy.
Totally. Like, what I love, I think more about this is the place is just demolished, but it's like they're already cooking. And that just feels like New York joints like this.
New York, baby!
Right? It's like people gotta eat. Like, they're just ready. Like cockroaches, they never die. Like, they will just always be serving best shawarma in New York City.
Yeah, we'll sweep around you. You come in and eat, we'll just keep cleaning up around you.
We don't think there's any glass in your shawarma. We don't think so.
You can't sue us.
Yeah.
Sue the weird space bug things that attacked us.
Right.
It is a great, fun way to end this minute and this season. I don't know if I have anything else. It's just, it is, there's so much like exhaustion in watching this, or not for me watching this, but watching them be exhausted is just, it's really joyful to just kind of see them finally just like, I just need some shawarma and everything will be good.
And it opened it up. Like, I'm sure James Gunn already would have had funny ideas, but like, it really does feel like this is what shifted what a post-credit scene in the MCU could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get an ant playing a drum at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, the table is set.
Yeah.
Covered in shawarma.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this minute. Fun minute, fun movie. We've had a great time talking about it. Minute 143. Mike, thank you so much for being here at the end of all things as we wrap this season up.
Thank you for having me again throughout this season. It's been a blast. I love this movie, and I loved settling in on this minute. And I'm going to commemorate, get 143 tattooed on my throat. So, and again,
let's all do it.
Every guest.
Let's all do it.
Let's all do it. And now people will really know, like, man, I wish I could have been the last guest, so I could have gotten that neck tattoo.
It'll be 143, and then it'll be MMM for the Marvel Movie Minute Materials.
Yes.
Right.
And now, do you guys, I don't know if this is spoiling, I'm sure you probably do know, but what's the next movie? When do you jump in? Do you get to break? Do you get to go visit your families?
No.
We're not allowed.
Families, they disavowed us.
It's too much movie.
No, yeah, it is a. I mean, I guess the very next thing is jumping into Iron Man 3 and following the PTSD that it's really the PTSD movie that we get to deal with.
I love that movie. I know it's split
controversial.
The movie's so good. Yeah, it's dude. I love Shane Black. Shane Black is so good.
Yeah,
and I disagree with everybody's like, I wish he was in the suit more. No, Iron Man out of the suit is great.
Yeah,
dragging the dead suit through the snow.
Yes,
there's great imagery in that film.
Delightful.
Good stuff. Well, yeah, we're at the end here. So,
that's it.
Mike,
good season.
Last chance. Tell everybody again about your podcast and where they can tune in.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I am one of the co-hosts of the Superhero Show, where every week we watch and review every single live-action TV show based on comic books. There are so many all the time. We used to take summers off. Now we cannot. And there's even though the CW is crumbling, there's still a bunch of content we are covering it out there. This is so far in advance. I have no idea what it will be on air at this point. Probably still Gotham Knights. Speaking of cockroaches that won't die, they canceled every other show, but Gotham Knights still around. I hate that show. I do like a lot of the stuff we cover. I feel like every time I'm with you guys, all that's like, in my brain.
What else are you going to complain about that you do for fun?
And then a thing I never complain about because I love it so much is Movie of the Year, a movie podcast where each season is a different year, and we build a giant bracket to find the best/most definitive movie of that year. And right now we are going through 1973.
Good year.
Ooh.
That is fantastic. We'll have the links for all of that in the show notes. Everybody just check those out, or just go to our website, marvelmovieminute.com, and you can get everything there. We are closing out season 6. We will have a hiatus episode coming up soon to look at item 47, one of our brief little one-shots that we have. Although it's actually a fairly long one-shot, but we'll be chatting about that one. And then we'll go from there. So, all right, Pete, last time. Thanks as always.
Thanks, Andy.
Until next time, true believers.
Marvel Movie Minute is a production of True Story FM, engineering by Andy Nelson. This season's music is Message to the World by Anthony Vega, and this season's show art is by Winston Yabo. Find the show at truestory.fm. If your podcast app allows ratings and reviews, please consider doing that for our show.